What's up? This is Chris, the Stat Guy, and welcome to the Stat Guy Show. Jump on Ryan. Ryan was just laid on the light, and I was like, "Oh, that's good."
That was Giuseppe will just, if you're watching him long enough, he'll jump. That's what he does. We don't call him Mr. Kangaroo for nothing.
Really a team sport anyways. Whenever we talk team, it's about having each other's backs. It's about helping each other.
One thing that we do good at is putting on a show.
Live on the Statman Show, and I know people and powers that be, I know that you watch this show.
What is up? Welcome to the Stat Guy Show, episode number 74. Joining me tonight are two gentlemen who recently added a little more hardware to their collection, as you can see in the backdrop there. From Team 187 Customs, we have Shawn Ellington and Danny Parker. How you guys doing?
We're doing great, man. Couldn't be better.
Yep.
I can only imagine. I was just asking you guys a little earlier. We're now 3 days removed from y'all winning the championship. 3 days ago only. Has it set in, Shawn, that you are the fastest no prep racer in the world?
I don't know if it's set in. I don't know. I'm still waiting on somebody to take it away from me next weekend. You know, it's one of those things that I'm not real sure that this feeling will ever go away. I don't know if it'll ever get old. It's still weird, man. I don't know. Like I said, I still feel like we're going to have to defend it, and that somebody else could take it away at any point. So it was such a long season and such a stressful season with how competitive everything was, just back and forth. So I don't believe that it is set in yet. We've slept a couple of times since then, and you know, I get text messages daily, you know, calling me champ and stuff, and that's the stuff that I do to other people. It's never happened to me before, so it's all new territory. We've won a lot of races in our careers, but never a championship.
I mean, the last time we competed for a championship was, 15 years ago.
Yeah. And
we lost it at the last race.
Yeah.
What about for you, Danny? How are you feeling right now? Has it set in for you? Is there just so much downtime now? Will you have time to reflect, or is just there's bills to pay? There's all kinds of stuff that comes with ending the season.
I mean, life goes on, right? Like everything was run for the last, 6 months, and now
for the past 12 years.
Yeah, and I don't know. Everything just kind of come to an abrupt stop this last weekend. So I don't know.
We still don't have any time off. Yeah. We got home. We drove home Sunday night after the race. Got home about 3 a.m. Man, I was up by 10 noon maybe, and I was already out here in the shop. So nice. We've steady got so many projects going on that we're out here every day, you know.
Yeah, and you had to make room in your shop for a trailer now.
I did. And I was telling him earlier, I was like, look, man, at some point it'll sit outside, but right now it's new to me. And, you know, we're going to set it inside for a little bit.
Yep. It's just another
Yeah, exactly, for sure. Danny, I want to talk to you about what was going through your mind. What was your mindset when you pulled up to the staging lanes on Saturday for the semifinals and realized that Jim Howe was not going to make the call, and that you, at that point, were the champs as long as you broke the beams? What was going through your mind at that point?
Man, I just got chills again, actually, man. It was kind of surreal because that was literally the first bye that we've had all year long. And It was for the championship. So, man, it was pretty crazy. Like, I don't know, man. I'm still at a loss for words, honestly, man, because going into the race, going into the whole race, we were close. I felt like we were within striking distance of getting it done, but yet so far away. And then, man, at that moment, it was over. It was ours. So I don't know. I was just still at a loss for words, honestly.
Yeah.
I was totally different than that. Like it didn't matter to me. It was just another round for me at that point. We talked about that all weekend. I mean, hell, we talked about that all season about what our goals were this season, and our goals were always to win the championship. That was always our goal. But our goal was also to win the final race in Ennis, and we talked about that all year long. And whenever Jim didn't show up, and we knew that we had clinched it, I didn't really have time to think about it. Like normally, you know, whenever I won a race, I'd pull the chutes, I'd shut the car off, you know, and my eyes would instantly tear up. That didn't even happen this time because I knew the race wasn't over. We still had work to do, and we still had one more round to go. And we talked about that all weekend. We said, look, our goal here is to win the race. If in the meantime we clinch the championship, then awesome. But we still have work to do, and we're not going to stop working until we win the race. Or, you know, obviously we get put out.
Yeah. That's an interesting mindset, honestly, Shawn. I would think you would be the opposite, right? Your goal is to win the championship, and then if you happen to win the race at the last event. But that's
that's
unique, man. That's unique.
There's so many things that were out of our hands that had to happen in that race. It was not my main focus. My main focus is going rounds and turning the wind light on. And that was what we know we can control. We couldn't control that Robin Roberts went out first round. We couldn't control that Paige was going to outrun Scott. That was just stuff that happened to go our way. And we've talked about it numerous times. How many times have we said everything that has to go right to win a race, let alone a championship, and then the couple of things that could go wrong to lose it? So everything just seemed to go right.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little more. So starting on Saturday, like you just said, you had to have some things besides you going a bunch of rounds. Like that was the main goal right there to start with, is if you lose in the first round, it's done anyway. So you have to go rounds, and then you need two guys who are in front of you to go out early. And we saw first round, we saw Robin red light, and then we saw Scott lose to what was going through your mind when it kind of was like laying out as the perfect scenario for you? Like what was going through your mind each step?
I was trying not to get wrapped up in that. As soon as Scott lost, everybody started coming up to me and congratulating me, and I knew that it wasn't over.
Right.
So I was like, just stop. It's not. I mean, I even looked at my wife, and she started crying, you know, and I was like, don't do this yet. Don't do this. It hasn't happened yet. Like there's still some things that could happen at that point. And I couldn't imagine how bad it would be if we started celebrating and then we lost it.
Oh
yeah.
So I didn't want that to happen. That would have been the worst fear I've probably ever had. I didn't want that to happen, and I didn't want to celebrate early. In fact, I didn't want to celebrate until after the race was over.
Right. Danny, so I got to ask you, now you guys were the regular season points leaders. You were the number 1 seed going into No Prep Elite. But you hadn't won the first 3 events. You were going into the final race 3rd in points. Did you ever think about it like, did you ever get more anxious or more nervous, like going into that last race? Like, hey, like, you know, we did so well all year, and now now our backs are against the wall. Did that ever come up to you guys? You ever talk about that? Hey, you know, we have not underperformed, but we have not met our expectations that we set out. And this is the last race now.
We definitely hadn't met our expectations, but we never do good the last 3 or 4 races of the year ever. I mean, when it's points and a half, double points, man, we have shanked it every year, man. Like we did good in Tulsa. That's because it was just a regular race. You know, we went to the finals, but then the points and a half in Rockingham out first round. You know, still points and a half. We at least got 1 round there, which was probably good. But
yeah, it helped.
Yeah,
it's better than nothing.
Yeah, I mean,
right.
Going into Ennis, you know, like we said, it was our goal to win, and we had some things in our favor. You know, everything was fresh on the car. Brandon was there. That's a huge plus. And man, I don't know. It just, sometimes you got that feeling, man. And that was one of those days. Like, it just felt like it was ours, honestly.
I felt like the pressure was off a little bit more going into Ennis, which is really weird, because I think I took Rockingham and Steele so hard. I was so hard on myself that there's no way that I could maintain that stress level for much longer. And so going into Ennis, I even pulled the guys to the side and told them a couple of times throughout the day, hey man, win, lose, or draw, we've had a great season, you know? And at that point, we knew that a lot of this is out of our hands. The only thing that we can ensure is to go out and win the race. And even if we'd have done that, there were still things that were out of our hands that we couldn't. If we'd have went to the finals with Robin, not even the finals, you know, let's just say that we stayed away from each other the whole race, he still would have won the championship. If we would have went to the finals and lost to Scott, he would have won the championship. So there were so many things that we were at a point where we couldn't control. So the only thing that we could control was, let's try to win this race and let's finish up as strong as we can and let the chips fall where they may. And they fell our way.
We were kind of at a point where we were in a position we didn't have anything to lose and everything to gain, whereas the people above us, it's harder to maintain that level of performance that those guys have been running at for that long when everyone else is trying to do the same thing. So,
right. And man, if I was on the live stream with Don Will and just watching it, I would tell you, I'll make a comment that when Robin and Scott lost, like everybody in the chat, everybody watching the live stream, it was like a 180. Like everybody just, like you said, Danny, like you felt it. Like it was like, John's going to win it now. Like this is perfect. It's happened perfectly. Like, man, it was an exciting time. I'll tell you that, man. And then obviously it played out that you won it. So, the chat, the fans were going crazy. I'll tell you that, man.
Yeah. They were at the track too, man. When that wind light come on in the semifinals after he pulled the chutes, man, the sound from the stands was pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We laid one down on that pass too, you know, and
oh yeah,
we were loaded for Jim, you know, and who knows what would have happened if he'd have made the call. Like his car's fast, and Jim at any point could put anybody in the parking lot on the trailer.
Yep.
And when I'm going to be honest with you, when he didn't show, I was more than happy to go up there and take the win. He came over and I told him, I said, look, man, if they tell me that I can go and make a pass and you're not in the staging lanes, I'm going. Like, I've let it be known all season that we all have the same chance, we all have the same opportunity, and we all have the same goal here, and that's to win a championship. And I've let everybody know, I don't care who you are. If you break and you're racing me, you're going to get 2 minutes, just like I would expect to get from somebody else. That's part of this marathon is keeping your hot rod running. And we've done well at that this season.
Yeah. I actually, just to comment, I heard Jim was actually live a little bit ago, and he did make a comment that he had made a post about how he just needed 10 more minutes. But he was just saying that, like, you were 100% within your right. That was the 45 minutes was up, and that he would have did the exact same. He would have did the same thing. And that he said he was saying that sometimes you got to wait. Like it's the 45, but you think of 45 minutes. He's like, it's not actually 45 minutes, because by the time you get back after you scale and you get through, if you got to wait on the scale, he's like, by the time you get back and if you have anything major to do, like you're in a crunch big time. You know what I mean? So,
well, there was an oil down, and we didn't actually make a pass until 6:45. So there's an extra 15 minutes right there. And then, look, I love Jim to death, but 10 minutes, that's kind of stretching it. The head still wasn't even on the car.
Yeah, no, I got you, man. I don't think any fans.
You can put a head on a car, torque it down, put everything that goes along with that head on the car, and make it in the staging lanes in 10 minutes. Man, you're a bad dude.
For sure. For sure.
For sure.
So, you know, the 10 minutes may have been a stretch, but
Yeah.
I got where he was coming from, you know,
Right.
and he came
Yeah.
over after the race, man, and it meant a lot, you know. He's like, I told you I wouldn't be upset with you, and I told you I would do the exact same thing. And,
Yep.
you know, there's no hard feelings for me. It didn't matter if it was Jim or who it was. I'd have done the same thing.
Yep. And it just goes to show you, I mean, that's a perfect example of the maintenance and making it through an entire race is a skill in itself. Like that is a that is a big part of it in itself. I don't care how fast
Absolutely.
you are, you know what I mean? How good of runs you make, you have to stay together the entire time. That's
Yep.
part of it. So kudos to you guys. Your program this year, man, it was awesome. I mean, last year we saw how good your program has turned out to be. You know, did like a whole 180, and this year it was even better. So it was good to see. I do want to reflect on some of the season. So I want to go all the way back to Virginia, which was your first invitational win of the season and of your career. Last time you were on the show was right before that, or the show was right after you won. You had talked about how it felt to win your first one. Did you imagine at that point that you were going to win 3 more this year?
I mean, we said we weren't done. We didn't know how many we were going to win, but we just knew that there was going to be more. Yeah, no, it's crazy to think. And you look back on the races after that, and so many things could go wrong. And like you said, sometimes you just feel like it's your day. But then sometimes a win will sneak up on you. Like we felt like Idaho was 100% our day, just like we felt like Ennis was our day. The others just kind of snuck up on us, and as we went one round at a time, next thing you know, you're in the finals.
Yep, that's very true. So I've been going to the races now for 2 years, no Prep Kings races, and talking with you guys from the beginning of last year up until now. At the beginning of season 6, I would say the common talk was that you were hoping you guys would win an event. Like you changed your program, you're hoping to win an event. And now this year, at the end, you're expecting to win a championship. Can you look back? Do you know what the turning point was? If there was a turning point at some point, or what happened to change your mindset from we hope to we expect?
I don't believe that there was any one certain thing. I think it was collectively everything. The guys have really stepped it up. Phantom was really good with teaching them what needed to be done. You know, the 2 guys that help us, the 2 family members that help us, they have full-time jobs, and they just flew into the races, and it was just something that happened. They happened to go to a race together at the same time. One of them lives in Atlanta, and he's a mailman, and the other one lives in Florida.
I saw that.
And he delivers appliances. You know, when Phantom posted that's what they do.
Yeah.
And one of them's my cousin, and one of them is Aaron's cousin, my wife's. And they both showed up to the same race. They hit it off. You know, the only thing that keeps coming to mind is Dumb and Dumber.
They're Harry and Lloyd, man.
They are Harry and Lloyd, and together. In between rounds, man, they could cool this thing off. They can change fluids. They can do anything that Phantom taught them to do. They're both. I wouldn't call either one of them mechanics, but they're both mechanically inclined enough to where when you tell them to do something, they're smart enough to be able to repeat that process. And basically, that's all it was. You get a long checklist, and you repeat the process of checking everything that's on that checklist in between rounds.
Yep.
And when you forget something that's on that checklist, that's when breaks happen, and that's whenever you go out and catastrophic failures happen. And luckily, those guys were on point all season with Phantom, you know, keeping an eye on them.
You got to have a group of guys that all have the same want to have the end result. You know what I mean? Like everyone wanted the same thing. There wasn't anyone that, I don't think there was anyone out for personal gain. It was all we wanted to win collectively. You know what I mean? So everyone just like they did what they were supposed to do. And
those guys weren't there for money. You know, they weren't there for fame. They weren't there for anything except to see us as a team succeed.
Yeah.
So I think that, and swapping over to the ProCharger, let's be honest, it's not like, I mean, we did change our program a lot as far as all the data that Phantom keeps up with. He can tell you what we did on the third pass at Virginia. You know, he can go into his notes. He can go to his notes and tell you exactly what we did. He can tell you why we ran less air pressure in the tire on this pass. He can tell you why we lowered the wheelie bar. He can tell you why we moved out of the groove in the right lane versus what we did in the left lane. Because he wrote all that stuff down. We have every bit of data from every pass this season and last season. We know what the air was. We know what the temperature was. We know what, the water grains were. We know everything at every track that we raced at for the past 2 seasons. And having a library of data like that,
it's invaluable.
It's
man.
invaluable. So, stuff like that. We did well. Well, we didn't do well with the turbo car, but
we went fast with it.
We went fast with it. It was just not consistent. So moving over to the easy to work on Hemi versus hard to work on small block. Anything that we did, the intake came off. And with twin turbos, that's a lot. Most of our wiring was under the intake. We did things over the winter whenever we put the Hemi in the car that is easier to work on. Everything that we did was in mind of what if we have to change this in between rounds. So everything that we did was with that in mind to make a more efficient machine. And it pays off. We changed a lot of stuff in between rounds. You can look at our season and not see things from inside and think that we had a carefree, didn't hurt any parts season. And that's not true. We were able to get everything that happened in between rounds fixed. And then the maintenance program that they did every Saturday morning before everybody got there was real beneficial. They caught a lot of stuff that happened before it was a round loss. Yeah. How did you guys get to that point? So seasons ago, right? I mean, even the first couple of seasons, it didn't. You didn't even race in No Prep Kings really. And then when you did, like, you had the turbo setup. Was it the same? Was it the same preparation, the same stuff you're talking about that you do now, 3 seasons ago? Or was there something like, hey, we have a ProCharger setup that's pretty badass, and we're gonna have the good stuff that we need. Now it's time to, take everybody and get this thing rolling.
Man,
how did that come along? I think a little bit of both. We talked about it, and I told Phantom, I said, look, we'll come up with the money, whatever it takes. We're gonna give it our all. And this was our first season with the ProCharge stuff. I felt like we gave it our all with the turbos, and we just got tired of beating our heads against the wall, and we got tired of everybody saying that we were there to sell T-shirts, and that we're TV racers, and all the stuff that comes with it. Ryan has no help. Nobody's fast in the 405 except Ryan. Which.
Yeah.
You can't get mad at them for stating the obvious, So at some point, Ryan has told people in the group text, and he's told everybody in there that work on your program, and we listened.
It's never been from a lack of effort. The efforts have just been more focused on what. Yeah. So I'm a sponge, man. Like, I'm not a mechanic. I am not. Like, I'm just not. I never have been. I'm a computer nerd that has a love for cars.
He's electronic, and I'm I'm mechanical.
I've been. I watch everyone, man. Like Javi, Dave's guy, Drama. Honestly, anyone who will let me just stand and watch them work on a car for a little bit, I've done it. And if I've ever had a problem, I'm not afraid to ask. I'll go ask one of those guys, hey man, I messed this up. How do I fix it? So it's just been watching those guys and learning from their mistakes, learning from our own mistakes. Like, you get a pretty good idea of what's going to happen and how it could happen and when it might happen. And you just try to prevent it, man.
And then you just learn from there. Going out first round gave us a lot of time to observe everybody, you know.
What it takes to go round.
Well, yeah, and it's not just that. We've been to radio races and we watch people. We've been to pro mod races and we watch people. You can learn a lot just by watching what others do.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you definitely took good notes, Danny. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
it's definitely helped for sure.
Yeah. Danny, I want to ask you. So, as the season overall, it seemed like there was a more of an emphasis on the rules, and there was, I believe there was a dedicated tech at all the races and stuff like that. How do you think that affected this season as far as the competition went?
Man, I don't know. Like I just say I pay attention to everyone, but honestly, man, I don't pay attention to what everyone else has going on. As far as if it doesn't pertain to me, I try not to involve myself.
Did you think having a tech there all the time made the field more competitive, made it a lot closer together? Did you, or do you think the opposite?
I don't know, man. I think it's a good rule set, and I think most everyone, you know, they chose their combo and they raced it, but you know, to the fullest extent. Whether there were some people in the gray areas or what, you know, like it was.
Racers are going to live in the gray area.
I mean, of course, the tech helped. You know, you can't say it didn't. I guess,
but also there's a lot of people out there that I'm not saying wouldn't cheat, but man, if you got caught, I mean, think about
the internet never
stashed
forgets
some weight at the end of the track and then threw it in your car after a pass. Just think, is anything that 20, 10, 5 pounds was going to help you? Think about if you'd have got caught doing something like that. Like, I don't believe that there's anybody. There might be somebody on the property that would take that chance, but man, that's a big chance. That's something that you don't come back from, you know? Right. So I think that a lot of the guys that we're running with out there wouldn't do that stuff anyway. So I don't believe that having the tech there every race. Now the gray areas, yes, maybe I run more cubic inch than what I'm supposed to run, you know, things like that. I don't believe anybody would be spiking their fuel. I don't believe, you know, people be putting weight, running way less than what they're supposed to be now.
It's hard to say because, you know, because there was someone there. Who's to say what would have happened if we'd have been governing ourselves?
Yeah. I mean, we don't know. Things like that could have been happening 2 seasons ago. Yeah. You know, but tech seemed pretty fair. I felt like the rule set this season was very close.
So I got a question on that, Shawn. So I had looked it up right before I got on here, and this was actually surprising to me. But out of the 17 events, 13 ProChargers have won, and 13 out of 17. Now, do you think that was because of the ProCharger or the rules, or do you think it had something to do with who runs what, how many people ran ProCharger compared to Screw?
I think that's a lot of it. There's a lot more ProCharger combos out there than there is Screws. Being so close of a program to Ryan Martin's program, we clearly know what the faster car is. You know, it's just not as consistent. So I believe that, and I actually told Ryan this today. I believe that if he would have stuck with the red car longer and gave it more of a chance instead of going back to the gray car in the middle, I think he'd have got it lined out. And that car was extremely fast. He just had some problems.
Right. Yeah, it seemed like
car's extremely fast.
They're all extreme.
Kai's car.
I mean, Dean's car 60 foot's better than ours.
Dean has that car, you know, the Screw 60 foot figured out. There's all of those cars at any given time were extremely fast and could outrun the ProChargers. They just weren't consistent. You just didn't know what they were going to do. Most of the time, 9 out of 10 times, those cars have their wheels in the air, and man, you're not you're not steering that when the wheels are in there. They're fast, but they're going to go where they want to go.
They remind me of turbo cars. They're just quick early.
Yep.
Yeah, gotcha. And it seemed like No Prep Elite, especially with the last 3 races, were set up for screw blowers to win those races. Honestly, like with the good tracks and the horsepower, like it just seemed like it was set up that way. But as I've been learning more about this stuff, it's like, yeah, maybe the screws are not as manageable or not as, they can be finicky, stuff like that. So
I believe that it's where they make their horsepower. The screws are in between the turbos and the ProChargers. The ProChargers are a little bit more like nitrous. All your power is right here at the starting line. Mm-hmm. After the 330, you're just holding on. You're just maintaining momentum at that point. Screw chargers are picking up from I'd say 200 foot all the way to the 660 because they got more mile an hour. Mm-hmm. And when you get out there on an iffy surface, then they're hard to manage.
Right. Yeah.
Which is surprising that they didn't win steel because that was just good the whole way down.
It was. But honestly, also, you think Jim wouldn't have won if he wouldn't have blown up? You think Swanstrom wouldn't have won if he didn't blow up? Yeah, they had problems. That's part of being consistent.
Yep. 100%.
Swanstrom's car was out of control fast in steel. Mm-hmm. He can lie all he wants and say it wasn't, but it was. Yeah. It was fast. and all the screw guys, they got that 1 out of 5 pass. It might even be 1 out of 3 passes that is just out of control.
Yeah.
Whereas 9 out of 10 of our passes may not be the fastest thing on the property, but it's going to do the same thing. 9 out of 10 passes.
Right. Yep. That's exactly
obviously
right.
That goes for something.
Right. 100% for sure. So as we were approaching the end of the season, there was a lot of talk about how the whole format was going to be about No Prep Elite, with people not really knowing what was going on, rumors here and there. So as we know, Shawn, you guys ended the season with the most points, and then you were given the first seed and 50 points to start No Prep Elite with. What was your initial thoughts of the format when you knew it was going to happen? And what's your opinion now that it's all played out?
That we're getting screwed. That was my initial thought. I was upset.
I'm so mad.
The producers can tell you, Jen and Sam can tell you that I'm real quick to throw a fit early. If I just wait until I said anything, until I slept on it, I changed my mind a lot. And I calm down a little bit. I think about it, and I understand why it needed to be done. But I just saw the side of it that it had never been done before. Yeah, why is it being done now?
They were just taking 230 of our points away from us.
Yeah. So, but at the end of the day, now that it's all said and done and it's over,
I didn't hate it.
No, I didn't hate it. And I'll tell you right now, if I didn't win the championship, then I wanted Robin to win it. And I'm sure that this doesn't seem like a popular thing to say right now, but I really wanted, if I couldn't win it, I wanted Robin to win it. Robin's car was fast all year long. Hell, I took number 1 away from Robin. So Robin floated around the top all season long. All season. Yep. He had a fast car. He had a consistent car. He was only 20 points behind us whenever they reset the points. So whatever points he came around me, it wouldn't have mattered if they reset the points or not.
Right.
So
right. Yep.
That was who, if I couldn't win, I would have been okay with winning. Because if somebody like Scott, who I like Scott, but who came in very strong once we turned into No Prep Elite, real strong, had no chance of catching me before if they wouldn't have changed the rules, if they wouldn't reset the points. And then he comes in strong these last couple of 1.5 races and double points races to win the championship. Yeah, I'd have felt some type of way about that.
Yeah. Yep. I think, if you look at it, I agree with you. I think you got screwed too to start. I think all the top 5 really got screwed to start with. But looking back, it's like if they wouldn't have gave you those 50 points, you wouldn't be the champion right now. And it forced you.
Would still be by 5.
You're right. Right.
Ooh,
Yeah.
man.
I got a comment later about
I told
of
you he was
impressed.
good, man. I told you he keeps everything.
Nice. You're gonna make me lose my job, fan. I'm not gonna
No, hey,
come
I
to be anymore.
promise you, he ain't got time for your job, man. That's a lot of work to keep up with.
But it kind of forced you to do something. Like you couldn't have just rode out the season and then not won a race and then no prep elite and still been call yourself the champion. It forced you to win a race, really. So I agree, man. You got screwed at the beginning, but you overcame and you won the championship anyway.
Oh,
so.
and it makes it that much sweeter.
For sure.
You know,
Right.
like
Yep.
I saw
It'll make for
an
good
interview that Jim Howe did, and Jim, you know, and believe it or not, little things like this, it means a lot. And we remember things like this. And he said, I don't care what happens in the last race, the season 7 champion is Shawn, you know?
Yeah.
That means a lot, you know?
Yep.
For sure. 100%. So during the regular season, there was a winners bracket and losers bracket we saw this year. And drivers could still earn points even if they dropped down to the losers bracket. Danny, what was your opinion of that format for this season? As you guys did get to take advantage of it 2 times, as you guys dropped down into it, but you ended up turning it around and winning those, which actually got you 12 and 15 points, I believe, or 12 and 12 to help your point standing. So what was your thought about the winners and losers bracket format?
Yeah. So I didn't like that they got points just for going to that bracket. You know what I mean? And I also didn't like that people could lose their qualifying round and then get 10 points to draw back in. I didn't like that. It is cool to you know, if you go out first round, you go to the losers bracket, and you can still put yourself in a position to win some points.
But it would have been cooler to draw you back in.
And
then it was just like you won that round.
Yeah. I didn't like that, but you know, you take the good with the bad with whatever you do.
Yep. I mean, whatever the rules are, we may complain about them.
Oh yeah.
We may bitch a little bit about them, but we're going to follow the rules, and we're
take advantage of them.
We're going to put our hat in, you know, we're going to put our name in the hat. Like you don't win, and you if you can't play. So
Right. Yep, for sure. And over the years, Shawn, we've seen different formats. Obviously, like the last 3 years, we've seen 3 different totally formats. What's been your favorite so far, especially over the last, since they started the grade 8, since they started Team Attack? So the last 4 seasons, what's been your favorite?
I mean, I liked Team Attack. It was really our first chance at any type of win. It was the first time we ever got any money for coming in too, you know, like what did we
Georgia with Ryan.
Yeah. We split, I don't know, with somebody, with Ryan, and then we won one, didn't we?
No. We split with Ryan, then we went to the finals with Pinky. It got moved to Maple Grove, and then blew the motor up in the burnout box.
Yeah. So that was really our first taste of any type of wins in NPK.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the grade 8.
I don't mind any of them.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm real quick to judge, and I'm real quick to complain about it. But after I think about it, let it set in, give me a little bit of time. And honestly, I've liked all the formats that we've done.
I wish they'd do the grade 8, but it was the final 8 from the previous race.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I wish.
I like that.
That would be a nice twist to it for sure.
I remember how upset I was whenever I first found out that it wasn't like that.
Yep.
I thought that was. I was like, what are you talking about? Because we got like 7th or something where we should have been in the grade 8.
Made it to the quarters.
And this is how dumb we were, man. We thought, man, we're in the grade 8.
Yep.
And clearly we weren't. You know, so I feel like this about that too.
Oh yeah.
I will say it doesn't amaze me anymore, but it did amaze me at first when you talk to so many drivers and crew and stuff, and like nobody really knows nobody really knows what's going on. Like you don't really know like what happens.
What's going on next year. Man, what could they possibly throw into this deal for next season? You know, we don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, we're going to be there and we're going to do it. You know.
Yep.
We'll adapt to whatever it is.
Yeah, and you guys have. I mean, you have to. You have no other choice. You do a good job of it, though. Danny, as you just proved a little earlier, you do a great job of keeping up with Shawn's stats, his career stats, his season stats, texting back and forth to you. But I want to share a graphic with you guys. Let's see if I can do this here.
See, I could never do this. The wrong picture would come up.
Oh yeah,
They'd ban us.
Yeah, and I'm losing it already. See? And I can't find it. It was Shawn's career stats. I have it here. I'm just going to read it. So I got a list of Shawn's, all your career stats, your career rankings for you, buddy. I'm going to read them off to you. Give me a second here. So, Shawn Ellington, in your career, you have 109 round wins, which is good enough for 8th place all time. You have a .623 round win percentage. So I sorted it by people who have raced at least 100 rounds, and that ranks you 4th all time in win percentage. Okay. So that's a good one. You've been to 7 invitational finals. That ranks you 6th all time. You have 4 invitational wins now. That ranks you 6th all time. And then, of course, you're only one of 4 people to win five people to win a championship, an individual championship. So pretty much around the top 5. You rank around the top 5, top 6 all time across all categories. So after your, we'll call it slow start, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Basically the last 3 seasons to do that. So congratulations to you, man.
Well, we appreciate everything you do, man. Like it's cool. Like you wouldn't think, if somebody told me, hey man, this guy's strictly just going to keep up with stats, I'd go, oh, right on, man.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool though.
But it's funny because we find ourselves every Sunday or every Monday searching for those stats,
I got you.
Of racing. So it's pretty cool, man. And we appreciate everything. I know everybody out there appreciates what you do.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. It's fun. It's fun to do. It's fun. Like you said, I wouldn't be doing it if you guys are just like, whatever, who cares? You know what I mean? If the fans were just like, who cares? I wouldn't do it. Yeah, I get it. But it's the fans, it's you guys. Like it's fun. I have a lot of fun with it. You guys already mentioned it pretty much, but I was going to tell you about another stat, how you're only one of 9 drivers this year to not have a chip draw by. So you didn't draw by because there was an odd number of people. So you're only one of 9 people this year. So you had no gimmies as far as chip draw goes. You have 9 people. So pretty cool.
47 of those wins were against competition.
Yeah, look at that. See, that's fans got all the stats.
It's not to pat ourselves on the back, man, but that's impressive. It is.
It is. It definitely is. That's awesome.
It's definitely a fairy tale season, and the way that everything ended. And honestly, I was serious whenever I told the guys, whatever happens, happens. We've had a great season. If something would have happened and we would have not won the championship, one of the other guys would have went to the finals, even went to the finals with us and still beat us for the championship. We had a great season, and it definitely wasn't anything to hang our heads about. So, but whenever you finish number 4, like what we did last season, nobody's goal is to finish 3 or to finish 2 after that, so
right.
That's what your goal's got to be, is to win.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine it being any less next season.
Right. I got a couple more questions if you guys want. And then if you want to take a few questions, quick ones from the fans. So this is kind of had nothing to do with No Prep Kings now. So obviously you've heard it, you've seen it. There's all kinds of talk surrounding pro mods recently. Okay. And the whole Drag Illustrated Winter Series. We've seen some drivers that are No Prep Kings drivers that are going to be either racing in it, their own cars, driving somebody else's. Some guys have currently building cars. Do you guys have any plans to get involved with pro mods anytime in the near future?
I've had a problem saying that I won't do things in the past, and then I've done them all. So I'm definitely not going to say that I won't, and I'm not going to say it's something that I'm not even intrigued by. But as of right now, there's no plans. Not saying that I wouldn't drive for somebody, not saying that I wouldn't try to get my own car, but right now I'm not real sure I could fit anything else on my plate.
Okay. So with that being said, as far as we know now, there's plans to have a season 8 of No Prep Kings. what will you be doing this off season to prepare for that? Is there anything you guys can think of that you learned this season that you're like, next year we got to do this differently, we got to do that? I know you've been racing long enough that there's probably not too many things that you do differently, but what's your off season going to look like?
I mean, honestly, there's not. Like, we were forced to get the spare short blocked, so we'll finish that up with a complete engine, and we'll put it in the OG, and then next season we'll pull it out of the OG and we'll carry it with us in the trailer. Aside from that, we'll try to outfit ourselves with anything that we may need, which we did a pretty good job of having everything this year. So I don't think that there's a lot of big ticket items. Of course, we'll blow the whole car apart. Still fighting inside my head on whether it's going to be black or white next season. But I can't stand wraps. So.
And this one was good too. It didn't fall apart like all the other ones I've ever seen.
Yes,
they did a good job.
The wrap was still, it was a good wrap. It just, I don't like, they're not paint jobs. And when you grow up like I did with your old man being a paint and body guy, and your old man can lay down paint like mine can, you try to stay away from wraps.
For sure.
But it was light. It was light and it worked. So we'll blow the whole car apart. We do have some welding to do on the car. I'm sure that we're going to change every Heim. We'll do the same stuff that we do every off season. But as far as that goes, I mean, honestly, the car held up good. We didn't shake the car a whole lot. That old Don Dial built car, man, is I think the reason it's a little bit heavier than most of the cars is because it's better built. He used a little bit thicker bars than what you even have to by the rules. And I think it held up great for the amount of shaking that we do with these cars and everything that we put them through. But, quarter panels are ripped up a little bit. We need to do some welding on the car and Heims, and shocks will go back to kinetic, everything like that we normally do.
Yeah, for sure. If you guys want, we'll take a couple of questions from people watching. So if you have a question for Shawn or Danny, put it in the chat box, please.
Put it in the comments.
I do have a quick question for you guys. The hood with no, is that on purpose? There's no,
what's the hood?
Is that
Shawn is not a cow hood.
Oh, I'm not a cow guy.
No, okay. I was always curious about that. I didn't know if you couldn't get
holes in the hood.
I'll cut a hole in the hood quick,
Yep.
way before I put a cowl on it. And that's something that me and Jeff Lutz go back and forth with all the time, because Jeff Lutz will put a cowl on his tractor.
Toter.
Yeah, I mean, he had one on his old toter, so he's a cow hood guy. I'm a let's cut a hole in this thing guy. So I don't see anything that needs to be fixed in that.
So
scenario.
When it was at Modern getting the Hemi put in it, Shawn considered a cow. He told them, if that thing needs a cow hood and it's going to help us perform better, then put one on there. And they said it didn't need one. So
nice.
Hole in the hood.
That right there should sum up our whole season. I am not a cow guy, but if there's going to be some performance to gain out of it, then we'll make it happen.
Yep. Well, it was cool looking, man. I didn't know if it was on purpose or not, but it was cool.
I think it looks good, man. Honestly, it's as good as
Yep.
it can look with a hole in the hood, because it's all cut
For
out
sure.
and everything.
Delta San has a question. It says, how much did it mean to you to have Aiden there at NS pulling you to the line when you won the whole thing?
It meant everything.
Starting to think he was bad luck, though.
Well, and that's what he thought too. He started to get upset, and he was like, "Y'all just don't win whenever I'm there," And I definitely didn't want that to happen. But man, it's always better whenever he's there. It's my family.
Yeah, for sure.
So, if he can't be with me, then I want to be with him, whatever he's doing. And one of these days when I retire, I don't care what he's doing. If it's not drag racing, which, man, I'm glad that it is, because he would gladly take my place, and one of these days I'm going to be standing behind the car, watching him race, helping him.
Yeah, just think of your nerves then.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I don't know that they'll be, I think I'll be okay with it.
Okay.
So
Jim S has a question. It said it's about your guys. That was I think Justin was pretty much advertising for it, but the bet you guys had, it was you and Ryan versus Justin and Kai. The fan is just curious if that was paid up and squared up.
it is not. It's not. No. Hey, and I'll get a text asking, for PayPal or whatever. Nah, that's not the same. Next time I see them, they're just gonna have to hand me the money.
Right, hand it to you. Yeah.
Yeah. It's way better that way. Anytime that I lost to Justin or Kai, right after that round, I was walking my ass over and I was paying them. And that's part of it. It ain't all about the money. It's Kai owed me $500 that he forgot to pay me at one race. And he was like, man, shoot me over your Cash App or something. I was like, hell no, that ain't. I said, I'll see you in person. So in Tulsa, my wife actually got a video of him after I beat him coming and paying me.
Nice. Yeah,
and it's amazing.
Yeah, that is amazing.
It's the walk of shame that you don't want anybody to see you doing. But that's part of it. So I know those guys are good for it. And at this point, I got something over on them, and until they pay up, then I can keep giving them shit about it.
Cool. Larry Bacon would like to know if you guys will be designing a new championship T-shirt anytime soon.
Already in the works. Couple weeks.
Nice.
It's already happening.
Cool. And they'll be able to get that online at your
murdernova.com.
Yep.
Awesome. I'm just looking for another couple more here. There was a question about lending Rankin a transmission. Did that happen before you guys raced?
It did. It wasn't before we raced.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was before he raced Robin.
Okay.
So he hurt his transmission in testing Friday night, I believe, on his second pass.
He couldn't race Nate
Friday night, and because he didn't have a trans brake and his forward drum, something was wrong. I don't know. I'm not a transmission guy. They are
aliens.
They're aliens to me. So that's why we have people like Rosler and Mark Mickey out there. So he came up to me and asked if I had any parts for a forward drum and all this stuff. And I was like, no, I don't. And this was Saturday morning.
Yes.
This was Saturday morning. I said, I don't, but I have a spare transmission. And he just kind of sat there and he was like, what would that cost me? And I was like, I'll loan it to you if you promise that you're going to hang the rods out of that thing to outrun Robin. And he said, oh, I can promise you that. I'll do everything I can to win. And I said, done. I said, come get it. And he went and put it in, and that kept Robin from getting the first round bye.
Wow. Little story like that nobody really knows about. That changed everything right there. That's awesome.
It changed everything. And then I ended up drawing him second round. And he was like, man, what do you want me to do? And I said, man, get in your hot rod and make a lick.
Yeah.
Do what you got to do. He was like, you don't want the transmission back? And I was like, absolutely not, man. I said, if I can't outrun you, then I can't win this race. So
100% true. There was a question. Everybody's telling you need to leave the car white. I see that going on.
Yeah.
It looks good white for sure.
Yeah, but then I see pictures of it black, and I go, man, that thing looks good black.
I've seen a picture of it. Black. Under the lights,
right?
Black. My God.
Yeah.
Especially with that ram jack. Yeah, I mean that looks good.
It sure is a lot cooler though in the sun.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not seeing too many more questions here that we haven't already covered. So I will let you guys get going. First off, I want to say thank you so much for coming on the show. As always, it was fun. It's a pleasure talking to you guys as always. I was so happy for you guys. I texted Phantom as soon as you guys won, man. I was happy for you guys because I know how far you've come and what you've done. And like I said, I thought you got screwed as well when No Prep Elite started. So I was happy to see you win the championship and kind of just say F you to the format. So it was good to see, but I appreciate you guys coming on again. Thank you to all the fans for coming on.
Absolutely, man. We appreciate the fans more than they'll ever know. Without them, we wouldn't be here. So we appreciate the fans even watching.
Yep.
You
All the
know,
live feeds.
all the
and
live feeds,
YouTubes and
the guys that show up to the race. If you're a fan of this and you watch it on the live feeds and the YouTubes and all that stuff, then you need to go. It's nothing like being live. I've told this to numerous people. You don't even have to know anybody there, and it's still an amazing event to come and watch live. Come stand behind these cars. Come stand beside these cars when they make a pass. And if you leave there and you're not impressed, then I don't know what else to tell you.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree with that 100%.
Thank you to the fans. We appreciate everything.
Thank you guys, and have a good night.
Thank you, man.
See ya.